This is my 3-foot vivarium that I built up last year in order to house a few yellow-headed day geckos. And it took me quite a bit of time to actually complete the entire project because I wanted to do things right from the very beginning. However, as the months slowly but surely went by, more and more of my mistakes actually started showing up, and the vivarium no longer actually really looks that good anymore. Not a single piece of moss actually started growing out of all of the moss paste that I added to the vivarium. Quite a few plants actually wilted away and have died off. And worst of all, my entire substrate is completely underwater. And well, in order to fix all of my mistakes, I need to tear this entire vivarium down. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And yeah, the vivarium unfortunately doesn't really look that great. It's not a real thriving jungle. As you can obviously see, quite a few plants have wilted away. There are quite a few problems, or rather said mistakes, that I need to address. And I would say we basically just start at the top of the vivarium and work our way down as the problems obviously get worse and worse. But the first major issue that I actually have is the lighting. The lights that I used are halogen bulbs, and the 4 that are in here, especially in the compact tops, they're just not strong enough. The camera does adjust the lighting quite well, but if I do adjust the ISO a little bit, you'll see that it is actually pretty dark in this tank. So the lighting is not really what I was hoping for. The next thing is the ventilation, or rather said, the lack of ventilation. And then we get to the misting system. It is also not really performing the way that I would like. I guess that the lack of light and also the way that the misting system is not working as properly. Quite a few plants are not really getting enough light, and they're also not getting enough water. So yeah, if we get to the back wall, obviously quite a few plants have wilted away because of a lack of water. Primarily also my mistake that when I planted the plants, I didn't really most probably do a good enough job. And that's because all of the bamboo was already inside of the tank when I started adding all of the plants. So yeah, some of the plants most probably just don't have enough substrate, and some of the plants I most probably just squished way too hard into some of the pots, which is the next issue, is the pots in the back wall. Some of them are just way too small, so I need to address that. And as we then work our way down, the biggest issue with the enclosure is unfortunately that my entire substrate is completely underwater and I have no way of actually draining it. In order to obviously address the issue with my substrate being completely underwater, I need to obviously remove all of the plants in the bottom here. I need to remove all of the bamboo. I need to get all of the substrate out, and yeah, obviously then drain all of the water. And since I will have all of the bamboo out of the tank as well, I can then also address the back wall. I'll be removing all of the plants. I do have an idea on how to sort that out, but that's going to come a little bit later. For lighting and all of that, that's also going to come a little bit later. But obviously for now, I'm just going to remove all of the bamboo, get out all of the plants in the bottom here, and all of the substrate. And then I'm going to test out the idea that I have in order to hopefully drain the water in the future. One thing that I actually forgot to mention is that there might actually be a yellow-headed day gecko in this enclosure. I did add one several months ago, and I'm not going to go into any details on why he's in here and where he's actually from, but I will link a video up there that'll explain everything. I've told this story several times, and I actually haven't seen him for several months, so I don't even actually know if he's still alive or not. I really hope that he is, and I hope that once I actually start moving the bamboo towers here where I've got all of the holes in where he can actually hide, that he might show himself. But yeah, I don't know. As mentioned, I've not seen him in a very long time, but yeah, definitely go check out the video. I'll put a tag up there, and I'll leave the video link down in the description. I explain everything in that video, and yeah, I also show exactly where he's from, so definitely go check that video out. But I got all of the bamboo pieces, well, all of the diagonal bamboo pieces out. I also removed all the plants down in the substrate, and the substrate is basically just mud. So yeah, it needs to obviously go out. But I'm going to remove the bamboo towers now. As mentioned, hopefully the gecko shows himself. But yeah, it is quite muddy down there. So yeah, let me continue with this. Then I can get the plants out of the back wall, and yeah. I will also say the substrate absolutely stinks. So yeah, it is completely waterlogged. It just smells like a swamp. Obviously, the plants were never going to really survive any of this. It is just, yeah, the roots were just obviously going to die all off. It really, really smells, but yeah, oh well. Let me get this last piece of bamboo out. So far, no gecko yet. Maybe he'll come out a little bit later, but I'm gonna put the bamboo aside and obviously get all of the rest of the plants out. But yeah, this is basically just completely rotten and muddy, so it all needs to completely go out of this tank. Okay, so as I was actually digging out the substrate, you can actually see that the Leica is right there, and I did actually add a separating layer, which was a hemp mat, and the hemp mat has completely disintegrated. It's completely gone, so the Leica and the substrate should not be mixed at all. I don't think you can actually still see it down here. There, this is the hemp mat that I used, and it is actually quite thick, but it's completely gone. So yeah, that obviously did not work out at all. So no wonder everything is obviously completely underwater. And yeah, I'm gonna carry on digging out all of the substrate and obviously remove all of the Leica as well. As you can see, there's quite a bit of water down there. And then once I got all of that out, then I need to drain the water as well. Okay, so the tank is completely cleaned up and empty. My camera just stopped recording at some point and I just never actually realized it. But yeah, it is now a blank canvas. I can now, well, start all anew. And the one big mistake that I realized was when I obviously dug out all of the substrate, I said that I used this hemp matting as a dividing layer, and obviously it completely disintegrated. There was nothing left of it anymore. Now I also fully realize why everyone is actually using a plastic mesh to actually divide the substrate from your drainage layer, because yeah, hemp mat is not going to work. So if you do watch any of my older videos and you see that I use the hemp matting, yeah, I'm sorry, don't use it. This stuff is going to definitely disintegrate, and yeah, your substrate is just going to go all the way down into your drainage layer and cause a mess like I had in my tank. So yeah, definitely don't use this. And I do have some plastic mesh lying around, so I'm definitely going to use that instead of this stuff. But before I actually even get to, well, add a substrate in again and all of that, I do need to address the back wall. And as I mentioned, with the back wall, with the pots that I used these very tiny little pots that you actually get with aquarium plants in a few places, and they're obviously just way too small to actually house plants for a long period of time. So yeah, I've got quite a few pots up there. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pots, 5 of these small pots around. So I want to replace them with something bigger. I do have some bigger pots in there. I think that they should be absolutely fine. Obviously, as I mentioned as well, when I planted the plants, the bamboo was already inside of the enclosure and I had to work around the bamboo, which was another mistake of mine. I should have actually just planted the back wall first. But yeah, for the small pots, I do have a solution as well. Let me just quickly go and get it. So the solution that I have to the pots in the wall are going to be these right here. These are recycled paper planting pots. I got some smaller ones right here and I also have some bigger ones. I don't think that the bigger ones are going to fit, but the smaller ones, they are a little bit bigger than the plastic cups. Let me just get one out of here. Well, they're only slightly bigger than the plastic cups, but they do have a bigger opening and all of that, and they go a little bit deeper. So I am planning on actually adding these to the back wall. The plan is to just cut out the silicone where all of the substrate is sticking on, dig out the old plastic pot, remove a little bit more spray foam so that these can just slide in there nicely. Maybe the bigger cups might fit in some locations. The bigger cups are obviously a little bit bigger than the smaller ones. Let me get one out if I can. There we go. These are the bigger cups. I might try and fit them, but I don't think that I am going to be able to, well, remove enough silicone and all of that to fit the big cups, so the small cups will have to do. The other idea behind this is as well that once I actually have enough space for the paper cup, I can then plant the plant outside of the vivarium into the cup and then just slide the cup into the hole, which is going to make things much easier. And yeah, I hope that this is going to work, but for now I do need to just, well, start removing all of the old pots and see if I can actually fit these in there. Again, my camera just didn't record, I don't know why, but I do have the first paper cup in here and it actually works quite well, so I'm going to do it with the rest of them as well. This one in the bottom corner right here is going to be a bit tricky because of the piece of wood, but I'm going to try my best to try and get it out as well. Though, yeah, I can just remove the paper cup. I can just obviously plant the plant and then I can just slide it back in. The silicone and the spray foam is a little bit visible, but I am just going to cover that up with a bit of moss. So that should be fine, but it works much better than the plastic cups. And as mentioned, I can obviously plant the plant directly into this cup and then just slide it in. And then I don't need to fiddle around with adding substrate into the cup whilst it is in the wall already. So I'm pretty happy with this. And yeah, we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4 more to go. So let me get those done as well quickly. I got all of the top cups here out. I opened up all of the holes. All of the paper cups fit in nicely. And I have one small one down here still, but I think I'm going to leave that one. I don't think I'm going to plant any sort of plant in there. It's just too far down. And again, another mistake that I unfortunately made when I built up the wall was that, as you can see down here, it is pretty dark and the wall basically it arches out. So it's obviously deep on that end and then it comes out and goes back in. So yeah, a little bit of a problem that I made, or well, rather said a little bit of a mistake that I actually made when I built it up, because the light is just not really going to reach to that spot right down there. So I'm most probably just going to fill up the substrate till around about this layer here, and then obviously just plant in some plants, just fill up that space. But that pot down there is basically useless. I do, however, think that I actually might try and add one more pot here. I think there should be enough material there to actually put a pot there. I'm not exactly sure. I actually, in the very beginning of when I planned this all out and made the back wall, I actually had a pot here, which I completely removed. I actually wouldn't mind actually having one there. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure if I should cut a hole in here and try and fit a pot. I'm not exactly sure how much meat I have with the spray foam, but yes, I would say for now I'm going to leave it at this. I do need to clean up my mess down here and on the floor. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the paper cups that they actually fit. So that is actually quite a cool little solution to have. So yeah, that's going to make it much easier. And as I mentioned, I do have the bigger pots right here. These should be fine with the plants that I'm planning on adding. But for now, yeah, the tank is, well, almost ready for new plants again. So the tank is all cleaned up at the bottom here. I got the pots all sorted out at the very top. And as you can see, I also added in the bamboo towers again, just in case the gecko is still alive. So that, yeah, he obviously doesn't run around in my apartment, but stays in this enclosure. I'm going to put up a camera and a time lapse just in case he does come out of the bamboo. I really hope that he is still alive, but obviously I can't tell. And yeah, so obviously the other main thing that I need to obviously address is the lighting, the ventilation, and the misting system. At the moment, I have 2 Exo Terra compact tops on the enclosure. Obviously that closes off the entire mesh grid on top, so there's no real ventilation at all. And as I did mention, the halogen bulbs that I use, they're just not strong enough. They just don't produce enough light. So the main solution that I have for this is that I got myself a Exo Terra Sky LED light bar. This is obviously going to open up one of the mesh grids as well, so that's also going to allow for some ventilation. And I'm pretty excited to actually test this out since it comes with a bunch of different features. It's completely WRGB lighting as far as I can tell. I actually never really had a proper look at these yet, but this should produce enough light so that all of the plants, even way down at the front here, are going to get some light. The box is a little bit damaged. It did get a little bit damaged in shipping, but the light is fine. I did test it out. Then I also got 2 new halogen bulbs, 2 new UVB halogen bulbs. These are 25 watt. The ones that are in the compact top in the moment, they are 13 watt. So these should produce a little bit more light. I'm obviously going to put them into the back compact top so that the animals can actually still get some UVB lighting. Exo Terra actually does make a UVB Terra Sky light bar, but yeah, it's just way too expensive, and these should work just fine. Plus it's going to close off one of the grids on top so that humidity can at least still stay at a certain level. But for ventilation, I also did get these. These are 2 little mini fans, also from Exo Terra. And since I'm going to be using the Terra Sky light bar over one of the mesh grids, there is going to be space to add these next to the light bar. So obviously ventilation is going to be sorted with these 2 fans as well. And then lastly, the next thing that I need to address is the misting system. I'm absolutely not a fan of Exo Terra's misting nozzles. I'm using the Monsoon Multi 2 and I'm absolutely in love with it, but the nozzles that come with the entire kit, they're completely made out of plastic. And yes, you do get extra nozzles with the kit, but unfortunately I over-tightened 2 nozzles and obviously stripped the threads, which meant that one of the nozzles just sprayed in all directions except for where I really wanted it to. And the misting cone of the nozzles is also pretty direct. I thought it was going to be in a much wider arc, but I did get 2 new misting nozzles from Exo Terra as well that I'm going to attach, and then obviously not over tighten the misting nozzles and strip them. Plus I also got 2 of these inline misters, and they also look way more beefy and also way more sturdy, and I'm going to try and attach these in between the pipes somewhere just before the nozzles from Exo Terra, just to, well, spread out the mist a little bit more. Because yeah, as mentioned, the nozzles from Exo Terra, they are very direct. They don't really actually spray all over the place. But all of that is going to be for next episode. I am still missing the plants. I still need to head out and get those and also maybe order some. It's a bit tricky to get tropical plants here in Europe when it's actually winter. The plants that I do have, I'm just going to go and repot in some pots that I have outside. I also need to get some better substrate. The mixture that I set up, well, was most probably not the best, so I'm going to try and get something better there. But all of that is going to be for the next episode, so definitely stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and a comment down below. Let me know if you think my changes are going to work, and if there are any tips or tricks that you could maybe give me, let me know down in the comments below. Definitely subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to not miss out on the next episode, where we're going to be unboxing and setting up all of the technical stuff and obviously re-adding the plants and the substrate. So yeah, again, definitely stay tuned for that. But I'm going to sit back and just relax a little bit before I get to repot the plants and all of that. Though, as usual, I would say I'll catch you in the next one.